So today we're going to kind of talk about the mindset that we need to have going into dealing with a three-bid objection. Then we're going to talk about the physical process, the things we do, the tactics that we deploy to actually overcome the objection. The first thing you need to know, I think is critical important, which is kind of the mindset portion, is that three bids is an absolute myth. And the only reason it's become such a powerful objection in our minds is because we allow it to become one, because it really isn't any big deal. And if you have an honest conversation with the homeowner, it's very easy to get them to realize that. As an example, we talk about three bids. How many of you in this audience today know somebody, yourself or a family member or a friend, who got three bids for some project for their home and still got screwed by the contractor? It happens all the time. But wait, you say, three bids are supposed to save me. Three bids are supposed to protect me from getting ripped off. And yet it doesn't. And we all know that because we're reasonably intelligent adults and we can just look at the experience of our lives and see that, wow, three bids doesn't really protect us. Now, we'll talk about why in a moment. But you have to understand that it is a myth. You have to understand three bids doesn't protect homeowners. We'll talk about how to communicate that to the homeowners. But we have to understand the reality that if we educate the homeowner, they also know somebody in their family or a friend or themselves who got three bids and it didn't protect them from a dishonest contractor, right? So if we understand this, and we understand our homeowners have most likely had the same experience, now it's simply a matter of educating them on what they already really know deep down. Now, I say deep down because your homeowner, just like the price objection, everybody knows it doesn't make sense to buy the cheapest heating and air conditioning system, but many times homeowners will kind of suppress that knowledge, that reasoning, because I got to get three bids. My father said I should get three bids. Consumer Report said I should get three bids. But the reality is three bids doesn't protect anybody. And we all know that it doesn't because we've all had those experiences of getting three bids and then still having a problem with the contractor. So why is that? Why is it three bids will not protect us? Well, it's very simple. Three bids cannot protect you from anything when you're buying a service. Now, three bids may work if you're buying a product. If I'm buying a computer or a car, and the basic car is the same whichever dealership I go, it's just a matter of which dealership is closest to my home, maybe gives me the best price, maybe has a great service department. But I can test drive the three cars, and then it's a matter of where do I get the best deal on it. You can't do that when you're dealing with a service. Why? Well, because in a service like a heating and air conditioning installation, I understand we have boxes and components, but 90% of the effectiveness of that system is going to be the installation and whether or not it was installed properly. So I have to make sure that I understand that you cannot know if a service will be delivered properly until after it's installed. This is why three bids doesn't protect anybody. If I test drive a car and I like the car, then I buy it. And it's the same car that I test drove, and so it works fine. But when I'm buying a service, I have to agree to purchase the service. Typically, I will sign some kind of commitment, some kind of agreement, maybe the finance documents, the homeowner agreement. There's a good chance as a homeowner, I've probably paid some portion, 25 to 50% of the job as a down payment, right? And then now I'm obligated, the contractor has my money, and now I got to roll the dice and hope they do the job properly. And if they don't, typically, when do you find out if a heating and air conditioning system wasn't installed properly? Not just after the installation, but in most cases, significantly after. Let's say I have a system installed in the winter. Oh, the furnace works great. Everything's working great. Mr. Contractor, here's the balance of what I owe you. And then summertime comes on, the thing won't kick on. Or it kicks on and it generates a big block of ice because we don't have adequate, airflow, or simply doesn't cool because the brazing was done in a very poor fashion and all the refrigerants leaked out. But the bottom line is it's summertime, 6 months after I paid the contractor, system isn't working or cooling, and good luck in many cases getting the contractor back out. This is why 3 bids will not protect homeowners. Now, we have to educate homeowners on that reality, but we have to first understand that 3 bids won't protect them. You know, a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about a Native American parable about the young brave that some days felt very powerful and strong and fast, and other days felt very weak and slow and not very successful. And he went to the chief, and the chief explained that he had a good wolf and a bad wolf, one wolf on each shoulder. And the good wolf is telling you wonderful things in your ear, that you're fast and you're strong and you're powerful. And the bad wolf is saying you're weak and slow and you're not going to accomplish anything in your life. So we have this warring faction going on. And the young brave asked the chief, well, which wolf is going to win? And of course, the chief famously says, whichever wolf you feed. And what I mean by that is that both sides of virtually every issue are out there in the world, right? Homeowners want 3 bids. Homeowners understand 3 bids won't protect them. Which is it? Depends on which wolf you feed, right? Because I can have a conversation, and over here, the homeowner might have a bad wolf saying, you got to get 3 bids. Your dad said get 3 bids. But over here, I can have a rational conversation that says, well, 3 bids won't even protect you. And let me explain how, right? The same examples I just used. So we have to decide in our mind that 3 bids is a myth, that it doesn't protect the homeowner. Because if I feed the wolf that they need 3 bids, and the homeowner says, I'm going to get 3 bids, guess what we do? I call it selling out of my own back pocket. You're selling out of your own mindset. When the homeowner says, well, I need 3 bids, you're thinking, yeah, I'd probably get 3 bids too. Well, good luck with that. Good luck with that. When I hear a homeowner say, I'm going to get 3 bids, I'm like, why in the world would you do that? Let me explain to you why 3 bids don't work when you're buying a service such as an installation of a heating and air conditioning system. Because I don't believe they need 3 bids. You know what my homeowners need, in my estimation? They need me. They need my company. They need a company that's going to stand behind that installation, come hell or high water if there's a problem down the road. That's what they need. Because the only thing that's going to protect my homeowner is me and my company. 3 bids won't protect them because people will come in and say anything, to get their hands on the homeowner's money. And then once they get the money and they get the agreement signed, they may or may not deliver the goods. They may or may not be there when the air conditioner doesn't work next summer. So again, the mindset portion of this entire 3 bids is that we have to understand first. Before I can project that belief and educate my homeowner to that end, before I can do that, I have to understand 3 bids doesn't protect them. And that's what I mean about the mindset portion. From a mindset perspective, you have to believe homeowners are not protected by 3 bids and that you have the skills, the personality, the communication skills to demonstrate to them that 3 bids will not protect them. So that's the first thing you got to realize. It's a mindset issue. You are going to project your belief onto that homeowner, whichever it is. Yep, I'd get 3 bids too, or 3 bids won't protect you. Let me explain to you why. You're going to project your core belief onto your homeowner. We all do it. It's human nature. There's no getting around it. We project our feelings, we project our beliefs, we project our ideas onto other people. And so if in my brain, I believe that 3 bids is the ticket, I'm going to project that to my homeowner. And when they suggest it, I'm probably going to agree with it, right? So that's step one. The other thing to consider is that one of the, if not the most important factor in a homeowner making a decision in terms of the contractor they're going to use is the element of risk. We're all trying to evaluate risk. When your homeowners have a million questions, they're trying to evaluate what's the damage here if I make the wrong decision, if I choose the wrong contractor. Now, when you're talking about spending $15,000 or $25,000 on a new HVAC system, the reality is the perceived risk from the homeowner is very, very high. Now, the reality is in your company, it's probably not very high at all, because if there's a problem, you're going to take care of it. But that is not true for every company out there, right? So, but the perception from your homeowner is that there's a level of very high risk if they make the wrong decision. So our job is very simple. This is true on every service call, every sales call, And we do it in many different ways, but our job is to minimize the risk for the homeowner. We want to eliminate the risk for the homeowner and put the risk on our shoulders, not on theirs. Well, how do we do that? Well, most of us have some type of guarantee, right? We have some type of guarantee and assurance for the homeowner that if the system doesn't work properly, it's not a maybe, it's a definite that we're going to be there to fix it. So we have to educate the homeowner on how we handle those situations, and we do that with stories. So stories are really important to overcoming the 3-bid objection. Number one, my perception, right? We talked about the mindset because I'm going to project that onto my homeowner. Once I decide, okay, they don't need 3 bids, now the question becomes, how do I demonstrate that to them? Well, one of the most effective ways to demonstrate that to them is through stories, right? Mental images, pictures. There's an old saying in sales that facts tell and stories sell. So we don't want to just say to the homeowner, hey, Mr. Homeowner, if there's a problem with your system, we guarantee that we're going to come back and fix it and take care of it, right? And you would. You wouldn't be in this program if you didn't. If you were a fly-by-night, hustler, you wouldn't even be in this program. So I know the people in our program are committed to taking care of their customers. But you can't just tell a customer, hey, if there's a problem, we'll be here to take care of it. Why? Because that's what everybody says. That's what everybody says. Hey, we'll take care of it. We stand behind it. We'll be there for you. But the reality is it's not always true. It is true for your company. It is true for you. It's not true with every company. And so we have to tell stories that illustrate that commitment. Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, when we do an installation, we guarantee its operation, right? We're going to put it in here in the fall, and you're not going to know for sure if it works right till the dead of winter and next summer. But we guarantee you that if there's any problem with this thing during the next 1 year, 2 years, whatever it is, that we will move heaven and earth to come out and make it right. Let me tell you a story of what that guarantee looks like in real life. And now you tell a story that illustrates how you handle those situations with your previous homeowners. This is going to go a long way to overcoming 3 bids. You'll understand here in just a moment. So maybe your company went out last year and there was a situation where a system didn't work properly. We've had them where it's, out of warranty 2, 3, 4 years later. And we realized the system was undersized or oversized, right? We've been out there on many service calls, and finally a technician decided to do a load calc and said, hey, this system is not the proper size. And we've gone out years and years after warranty has expired. When we found out the problem, we were responsible and put the right size system in. Those types of stories. That shows what you do after the installation, after you've collected the money. So you have to stop and think about what are the stories in your company that illustrate how you treat your customers when there is a problem, right? How do you treat them? Now, there's a good chance you have some stories of some great things that you've done. There's a good chance you probably have an amazing letter outlining that, but it's probably in a file cabinet where nobody ever sees it. We got to get those letters out. We need the letters because if I say it, I'm a salesman. If another homeowner says it in the letter, it must be true. You got to have that proof because we don't believe everything we hear. We believe what we see. So I need to see that letter. That third-party validation is really important. So you got to get those stories together. And by the way, if you have a story of something amazing you've done and you don't have a letter, call the homeowner back. I don't care if it's a year or two later. Hey, Mr. Homeowner, remember we came out when your system was out of warranty and right-sized it for you because we made an error? Could you give me a letter just outlining how we handle that situation? If a lot of times they will want to write you a nice letter, but they don't know exactly what to say, offer to write it for them, right? And with AI these days, you just put in there, I need a letter from so-and-so homeowner stating that we oversized the system, the warranty expired, but we found out it was oversized and we replaced it anyway at no charge to the homeowner. It'll write you a beautiful note. And you take that out to the homeowner, have them sign it. Now you got your what we call a signature story. And those signature stories are really, really important because, and you'll gather more than just one of those. You'll gather multiple of those, and it's fine. We had probably half a dozen what we call signature stories for different situations. Depending on what the situation is. For example, one time we had a military guy. His name was Cliff Shmededke, and he got transferred. And we have a 1 year trial guarantee, 1 year money back guarantee. and he got transferred. And we were talking to him at a home show, and he jokingly said, I want my money back because I got transferred. And when I heard that, I'm like, actually, we'll give you your money back, but I just need this letter from you that we did this. Well, we live in a military community here in Colorado Springs. We have 5 military installations between the Air Force and the Army, and then the big mountain, Cheyenne Mountain, ultra defense mechanism monitors every piece of air traffic in the world. So we've got a lot of military folks here in this town. And so whenever we would have a military prospect, a military homeowner, obviously that would be one of the letters that we use because it really showed our commitment. And again, I never had anybody else ever ask me to refund them the money because they got transferred. It was a powerful, powerful letter. So now let's get into what we do. We talked about the mindset. I have to understand that 3 bids is a myth. If I think 3 bids is going to protect that homeowner, I'm going to project that vibe onto my homeowner. I've got to understand the issue of risk, and I need to get me some letters, signature story letters that illustrate to my homeowner that we take care of our customers if there's a problem after the sale. So I've got all that together. I got the right mindset. I got my letters. Now I'm going to deal with the 3-bid objection. And I'm simply going to start the conversation. And by the way, if you go through our sales training, it's dealt with very early on in the sales process because it's one of the first things I deal with. We build some initial rapport. I might take some measurements of the house. We're at the kitchen table. We're just kind of warming up. I give the homeowner the overview of what we're going to cover that day. Try to get them talking as much as possible, ask as many questions as possible. And then I'll say, well, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, a lot of times when people are looking at a significant investment like this, one of the first things they think is that we need to get 3 bids. That kind of how it is for you and your family here? Oh, yeah, we got to get 3 bids. Well, I'd like to chat with you about that. Our decades of experience in the industry have demonstrated to us that 3 bids don't actually protect homeowners. And this may come as a shock to you, but we've seen it many, many times. In fact, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, have you ever known anybody who got something done for their home, they got 3 bids, and they still had a problem with the contractor? Over budget, over time, over something, the quality wasn't right. Have you ever known anybody who got frustrated with a contractor? Anybody with any experience in life is going to have had problems with a contractor, right? And so we just got to acknowledge that. And you ask them, what was that like? Well, here's the thing. With our customers, we have a uncompromising commitment to taking care of them after the installation. Because the reason that you had that problem with that deck that was built or the windows is because when you're buying a service, you don't know for sure if it's going to be installed properly until after you sign the paperwork and probably pay some portion of the job. And in the heating and air conditioning situation, in most cases, you'll sign the paperwork, have the job installed, and pay for it. Well, what if it's wintertime and you find out 6 months later during summer that the air conditioner doesn't work? You're after the fact. This is why 3 bids doesn't work, because you don't know for sure people are going to do a great job until after it's done. With my company, we have absolutely guaranteed that we will come out and take care of any problem if there's anything wrong with the installation for whatever period of time that you offer. In fact, let me share with you a story that illustrates this issue, or this guarantee. And you share with them this story. So this is a story of Mr. and Mrs. Jones. We installed a system, and they went through a couple of summers, and it just wasn't right. And we went out and tried to get it dialed in. And after a couple of summers, we all decided it just isn't working right. Now, it was out of warranty. It was 2.5 years after the installation. But when the owners of our company found out that the system turned out to be undersized, you know what we did? We went out and removed the entire system, properly sized a new system, and reinstalled everything at absolutely zero charge to the homeowner. And this was after the installation warranty had expired. How do you think those homeowners felt, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, when we stood behind it after the warranty to make things right? Well, that's the kind of guarantee that we're talking about with my company, because here's the reality. The truth is, we've got 200 companies here in town, or 1,000 if you're in Phoenix or whatever, and people will come in here and tell you anything that they think you want to hear to get their hands on your money. And then when they get their hands on your money, they may or may not do the installation properly. And even though it may seem properly done initially, you may find out during the next heating season or cooling season that it doesn't work right at all. And in those cases, the installation's completed, they've collected all their money, and good luck getting them back out here, because now they want to go do new installations and make more money. Our industry is notorious for having horrible, horrible warranty service. Our company is different. And this letter and this story, I think, really illustrates that. So let me ask you a question, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner. If on one hand over here you had 5 bids from 5 different companies who would say anything to get their hands on your money, and over here you had that company like mine with an ironclad guarantee that we're going to service that system, make sure it's working properly throughout all the seasons, right? Without any brain damage, without any resistance, one phone call, we're going to take care of it. If you had to choose between 5 bids from 5 randos or my company with an ironclad guarantee that took care of Mr. and Mrs. Jones the way we did, which of those companies would you prefer? And when you tell the story like that and you have the proof of the letter, you know what they're going to say? Oh, well, 100%, I prefer your company. Guess what? You just overcame the 3-bid objection.